Good evening, Nick.
Hello, Tice. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's episode number 54.
Jesus, I've lost
You're
count.
meant to be the one that counts.
I know, I
you
normally
correct me every
count.
time.
I do.
I believe it's 54 of Nick Tyson Videotape.
Can we really quickly check?
Why not? I'll vamp a little
You
bit
vamp
while
a
you
little
check.
bit, yeah.
If this is your first time tuning in to Nick Tyson Videotape,
Hey,
we
gang.
say welcome. Thank
Hello.
you. It's so good to have you here on this very special episode, our Mailbag Special.
Mailbag
So we're not
Special.
talking about a specific movie today.
54, yes.
Episode 54, wonderful. We're actually going back and answering a bunch of questions that have been sent to us
I love that this has happened.
over a certain amount of time. Questions that we thought we could give a bit of actual insight to, not just
Yeah.
kind of have no...
Yeah. Hey, how you going? Love the podcast. See you later. Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, thank
Not that we don't love those ones. Keep
No,
sending those ones, by all
please.
means.
We love those.
But yes, we thought we'd cram them all into one episode as opposed to trying to unfairly
Well, because sometimes,
shove them at the end of an episode.
because sometimes this will just spawn off into mad conversations that we're
We
like...
know we talk rubbish. Like, we know we ramble on a little bit. So this way, we feel like we can ramble a little bit and
Exactly.
we don't feel too bad
and we'll
about that.
hopefully answer your questions to the best of our ability.
That's it.
Yeah.
But yes, Nick Tyson Videotape. You can find us everywhere online on Facebook, YouTube, all those places. We'll tell you a little bit more detail at the end of the show.
Yeah.
But first of all...
let's talk some trailers.
let's do that.
Let's trailer talk.
Everybody's talking
Trailers.
All right. We're wasting no time today.
We are.
I like it.
We're
Straight
getting
into
Get into it. Get into it.
What should we talk about first? Well, look, tell you what we'll talk about because we'll get it out of the way because people are going to want to know. And yes,
I'm sorry. I've told you before. I can't. I can't watch another. I've got my tickets to Infinity War, and I can't watch a trailer now. I feel like it's too much. Even though I've been guaranteed by Tice and by a guy at work that this isn't spoiling anything. You're not going to see Cap die. You're not going to.
no, there are no clear spoilers in it. We of course are talking about the second trailer for Infinity War. Nick has not watched it.
No.
I have watched it.
I'm not going to watch it.
I would say
I've seen it, and it's been very hard to not.
no. I could imagine.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
could
so
really
hard.
imagine. There's some really exciting imagery in it.
Yeah.
I will say that for sure. There are some moments that are like really getting me fired up
getting
for this.
juicy.
It's far better than that first trailer. I liked that first trailer. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yep.
That
It was a nice
There
setup.
was no real like fuck me
Storyline.
moment
Oh,
in that,
really?
and there's multiple in this one. Just
see,
moments
yeah,
that you're
good.
just
I
like,
don't want that. Yeah, good.
"Oh,
Good,
cannot
good,
wait
good,
to see
good.
this."
Really, you don't reckon the fuck me moment of Iron Man taking a punch to the face and just dropping like a sack of
Oh,
potatoes?
look, that kind of
Like,
stuff,
that
yeah.
punch was
But
full
there's some cheer out loud moments
Okay,
in this,
cool,
and
cool.
I know I can almost imagine what your reaction would
Yeah.
be without actually having to see you watch it. I just know exactly how you'd react. But I thought it was a really great piece of marketing, and
Yeah.
it's just like
This thing is going to be huge.
it's going to be huge, and
Yeah,
it
good.
just blows my mind like that we're
Good.
getting this. Like, I can't believe we're actually getting this. Like, we are finally
I know.
10 years
10 years.
And we're
10
getting-
years, and we're getting so many characters pushed into one movie. I really hope it does well. I hope
I think it's
I hope the juggling goes very well.
From what it looks like, from what we've seen, especially in this recent trailer, is that the stories will be divided.
Oh, okay.
It does look
So sort
as
of
though there are like smaller groups of people that are in different scenarios.
So sort of
over
a
the
Two
course of the
Towers
movie.
thing, sort of.
Yeah,
let's
that's
go
not a
to
bad way to
here,
think
let's
about
go
it,
to
for
here,
sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. like
That's
that.
the impression I'm getting. It's the impression that I get. Fuck. Flashback.
Gold.
Yeah, and
Is that Mighty Mighty Boss though?
it is the mighty, mighty boss tones. That's for those of you from 1996, maybe, when that song came out.
Do you know at my work? I just have to cut in with this because
Go
this is
for
so stupid. So the guys at my work in the back in the storeroom, they put on Smash Mouth because they're like, yeah, remember this? Like, they're not our age, Tyson, though.
Oh.
They're young. They're like, do you know this? I'm like, yeah, I was around when
Yeah,
this
we were
band was like,
actually-
yeah,
yeah.
I fucking hate this
We
band.
liked them unironically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like, we
you
actually
like-
were just like, oh, Smash Mouth. Yeah, they're a cool band.
But I don't like them anymore.
No.
Like, I've
Oh,
never,
no,
no
it's
one our
ridiculous.
age likes Smash Mouth.
It does make me... I find it really interesting that of all of the bands from the 90s,
That they-
Smash Mouth has kind of become this... It's just they're a meme in themselves.
They're like an iconic thing now.
but
like
only ironically so.
Yeah.
Like, which is really... It's really strange how that's the band that this generation has gravitated towards because
the
of how
90s?
funny that All Star is.
God.
Like, it's bizarre.
hurts me.
It makes no
It
sense
hurts-
to me,
it
but
hurts my
I
face.
appreciate it because I do like watching all these random All Star covers that
Yeah.
pop up and things like that.
And I'm sure Smash Mouth is.
they're
maybe
making
they'll do a tour. You know?
I think they tried to cash in on it and it didn't work out too well.
Sorry, of course.
No, that's fine.
Avengers?
But look, it's hard to talk about. Obviously,
Thank
avoiding
you. I'm
anything.
sorry, yeah.
But well, I suppose we can say now we're going to do an actual episode on it when it comes out, and we're going to do it really fresh. And as soon as we've both seen it, basically it'll be the day after.
We will not be spoiling anything. We'll try not to.
It'll be a non-spoiler talk.
Yep.
Or we'll do a non-spoiler section, and then
Yep.
we'll do a spoiler section.
Absolutely.
Because it'll be impossible to talk about. I think without some spoilers.
I think yeah.
We're ridiculously excited for this film. This trailer has done really nothing new. It's not like I was kind of on the fence or anything. But it really just does kind of cement my excitement for it because I at least know that even based on just a couple of moments in this thing, I know I'm going to be seeing some stuff that I am going to fucking love.
Yeah.
And that are just going to
goosebumps. Do you have a specific character to go with that?
There's a few that have some really moments. Specifically,
I'll go on.
There's two. This is funny because everyone listening to it has watched this and they're going to know what I'm talking about.
I'm glad you're giving them
there's
something.
a specific moment with Thor,
and
there was a specific moment with Cap, and they were both just like fucking amazing, just like so exciting. So nice. It's gonna be wild, man. It's gonna be
intense. Yeah,
really wild.
Anzac Day for us. It comes out. It's a public holiday. Is it a public holiday?
Yeah, it is a public holiday. Anzac Day. I think.
Or is it half the day?
No,
you're not allowed to. No, there's no one opens for half the day or whatever.
Maybe.
I think that's what it is.
I think I get the day off school.
I feel
that's all. I think that's all I care about. It's like I don't have to go to school that day. It's like yes, I get more excited about public holidays than the kids do.
I feel like we get no public holidays. I really do.
I feel like we get a heap of them.
Are you kidding me?
But they're all front loaded. We get them all at the start of the year,
which is stupid.
And then we get this big patch through like
winter.
May through to November without a single fucking public holiday.
Yeah. And then we get,
or maybe
for
one.
some reason,
like
Australia is so stupid that we get the grand final off.
Hey,
You're happy with that?
No complaints for that one.
Yeah, of course.
Because that one day when my team is in the grand final, I want to go to the fucking parade.
Yeah, fair deal.
And have like a 3-day bender.
I hate it because the grand final is so fucking close to my birthday.
No.
Yeah, not that I care. I don't do anything on my birthday, but yeah, I hate it because grand final. I make sure that I stay indoors. Don't go on any public transport.
No, and don't go anywhere near any of the suburbs that are playing.
Exactly. Yeah, and I stay indoors and I make sure that I watch. I don't know, Pretty Woman or something nice. Yeah,
that's a very drastic detour.
Yeah, well, I like a drastic detour.
Yeah, who doesn't? Yeah. Well, that's all we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, fair deal. Well, let's talk about what do you want to talk about next? I like what is it called? 8th grade. 8th grade.
Yeah, we watched a trailer for 8th grade. Yeah. I don't know much about this director. Apparently, it's a comedian of some description. Yeah,
a comedian that was on. I know them from the Oscar-nominated director for what was the movie called? God damn, Nicholas.
What?
You suck.
What are you trying to talk about?
You suck. I don't know where he's from. God damn, I suck. We're cutting this out.
Oh, he's so young. 1990. God. What have we done with our lives? Yeah, I don't know him from anything. I haven't seen any of this. I didn't see Big Sick yet. So
Big Sick, that's what I was looking for.
I've not seen Rough Night.
I've seen Big Sick. He was awesome in Big Sick. He was like that little segue, kind of like in in Homecoming. Spider-Man's friend was amazingly funny.
Oh yeah, so
he's kind of like him. Just came out.
Character.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of came out and did his thing, and you were like, "Yeah, I want more of him. Why is he in it more?" But yeah.
So
is this his first?
It does look like his first directorial
effort.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? This is the first time in a long time, and it's starting to worry me that I legitimately can watch a trailer and say, "Oh, I'm not going to get a lot of this movie." This is.
Are you showing your age?
I think this is. This might be finally like
the one that's going to break
the one that no longer is relevant for me. The coming of age story that I can't relate to because it's way too. It's way too millennial focused.
Yeah, because it is. You do get that throughout this trailer. And to be honest, this trailer just scares me because even though my son is not even 1 yet, I'm like, fuck. I don't want him to deal with that.
No.
You don't want him to deal because we didn't have to deal with that. So I have to help him to deal with the things that that kids nowadays, the millennials that let me start again. That the millennials of today are dealing with in high school, which is totally different from what we deal with.
Oh, of course it is.
If I wanted to call a girl on the phone, I would have to call her And then obviously her parents are going to pick up and I go, hi, is Amy there? Yeah, she is. Can I talk to her? Like, you'd have to have mad balls to pick up that phone and do that. Well, it wasn't mad balls. You just have to do it.
You had to do it.
You just have to do it. There was no thing.
It was just a part of... Everyone understood it.
Get anyone in high school to do that now? No way. No chance. No. Why would I do that when I could just text them or message them?
Text them, yeah.
Or,
there are 40,000 different ways that they can get in contact with them. WhatsApp. Do you remember WhatsApp?
I remember WhatsApp. People still use WhatsApp, seriously enough. Yeah.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
But I just watched this trailer and I kind of think, yeah, look, I think it'll be funny, but at the same time, the strength of these kind of films is obviously the empathy for the main character, and I'm sure that will remain intact to a degree. But when it seems to have quite a heavy social media slant, which is something that I don't really kind of take a lot of part in. I have a Facebook account and I spend a fair bit of time on that, but that's about as far as I go. And so maybe that'll kind of put a bit of a barrier between me and relating to it. And also just it seems to, like, I mean, these are all assessments based on a short trailer, so it's kind of unfair. But just seeing the what are pitched as the adult characters in this, usually I feel like there's a bit of separation between me and them in these kind of films. Like, I can still kind of go,
no, that's not me.
That's not me yet. Yeah. I'm not there yet. And I'm looking at some of this and I'm like, I think I might be older than these people. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, okay, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that these coming of age films are no longer relevant to me, and I can still watch them and enjoy them, but it won't be something.
But you're seeing it from the adult side. Yeah. You're going to see it from, well, I don't want my child, like I said, go through that, and we're having to go, well, this is almost a learning curve. How does the father in this help their child through it? Yeah, and we're going to see it from that point.
I think some of those universal issues will always be there.
Oh, absolutely.
And like I can watch something like, for instance, the Edge of 17 from a couple of years ago, and I thought it was beautiful and wonderful, and I didn't have this problem at all. And even something like Ladybird, which is actually set a bit further back in, I think it was like the mid 90s. I think it was set. What was it? I can't remember.
I think it was late 80s, but yeah, go on. Yeah, it doesn't
matter. But anyway, it was obviously in an era where it was my generation, so there were things that I was. Yeah, no, it was mid 90s because they kept playing that the Dave Matthews Band song.
Oh,
yeah, so it was mid to late 90s.
That's right.
And so there's that instant kind of,
recognition.
Recognition of what they're going through. And now, because if stories are going to be based around things that I legitimately don't care about and have any kind of association with, so I have no point of reference. Yeah. We might be getting into a point now where I'm like, okay, I can respect it for what it is, but I won't have the same
exactly.
kind of...
But in this, you're still going to have what this trailer showed for me was just a teenager dealing with the things like, who am I? What am I going to be? These are still just, like you said, universal themes that we still deal with.
Those things will always be there in these kind of movies. Yeah. I think it's the surrounding stuff that's going to affect them for me nowadays. And it's funny because it was the first time I've ever kind of watched a trailer and legitimately thought, oh, I don't think I'm going to connect with this because of that reason, because of the complete separation in the generation gap. I haven't really felt it as strongly as I felt it in that 2-minute trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see.
It looks interesting though. I'm kind of interested to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why I wouldn't. It's A24, the distribution company, are doing really good stuff at the moment. They release a lot of really good stuff, and they kind of
take the chance on scripts and directors
it seems like they do,
that big companies don't do anymore, or big production companies don't do anymore.
They're kind of, it's a good indicator of an indie that will have some like certain amount of class to it. I think because anyone can pick up a camera and fucking shoot something these days, where we might have a little bit more trouble kind of discerning quality these days. Whereas someone like A24 at the start of it, even though it will be low budget indie, you can say there's at least been some kind of quality control on something like that.
Fair deal.
And so it makes you kind of go, oh, okay, well, cool. I'm willing to give it a
shot. Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Eighth grade.
That's
written and directed by Bo Burnham.
Bo Burnham. It's literally the first time I've heard that name.
Cool name though.
Cool
Bo
name.
Burnham.
Bo Burnham. I like it.
Rad name.
And the last trailer we're going to talk about.
I'm surprised of your reaction to this. This is really good. So we watched. We wanted to talk about the new Fantastic Beasts trailer, which is the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Grindelwald.
Did you say Wald or Wald?
Well,
is it? He's not German.
I don't know.
Oh, I would say Wald.
Grindelwald. I've never heard it said out loud. Have I?
You would in the end of Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But yeah. You're all for this because this is not. We're not doing the origin story anymore.
Yeah,
not that this is an origin story. You didn't like it. That there was introduced to all the characters and all the creatures and all that stuff. You didn't like that. I loved it. I fucking adored it. I wanted the little thing that stole the jewelry. Tell me you didn't find that cute. I know you have two cats.
No, yeah, but this is. I liked it all. I think that movie just spent
too much time on the creatures.
Too much time, and it's almost like this. Like you can almost split the movie into half: the parts that were plot based and the parts that were expositional. What is this creature? This is it does this. Yeah. Oh, what's this? And here's some weird fucking name for this thing. It's a floop-de-flop-flar. And it does this. And that stuff, literally, I have zero interest in.
I loved it.
What I like is when these kind of things can be incorporated a little bit more organically into a story.
Yeah. I liked everything to do with the human, not to say human, the
muggle.
Muggle.
What do they call them in
character?
Americans? They're not muggles. They're something else. The American.
Oh, yeah.
They call them something different in American. Anyway, I can't remember. But look, and I actually liked a lot of that stuff. And I think when they were dealing with the actual threat of the film, I think it was really quite effective. I think Colin Farrell was the best thing in that movie. Like, he really was good. It was great.
And that
stuff that was going on with him,
and the kid, it was full
on. Ezra Miller was doing some really cool stuff in it, and it was.
How do you say it? Ezra Miller. Yeah.
And also, this is part of my thing that I just don't think Eddie Redmayne.
That's right.
Is
can
any
act
good.
very well. Yeah. Which we'll see in the future.
2.5 more hours of his little fucking thing.
A best actor thing under his sleeve.
That's one and done for him. He's going to have to work pretty hard to get himself another one.
Good Lord.
But yeah, so finally, like, I think I can enjoy this series of films because I don't have to spend that time getting to know the character.
Well, the sequels always have that in them. Are you going to build on that? You have the element. Can you build on that story? Or are you just going to regurgitate what we've already seen? Now, because this is written by JK, I feel that this is going to be something that is amazing. It's going to be one of those sequels that you go, sequels? Terminator 2? Empire Strikes Back? Well, it's not really a sequel.
Well, see, but none of those... It's funny, none of those films that you present... Because we always talk about how, like, sequels are kind of seen as being lesser imitations of original films very often. For some reason, in young adult fiction, the first movie is always so burdened with this responsibility to build a world.
Yeah.
And not in a free-flowing way at all. Like, if you watch Star Wars... Right? Mm-hmm. I think maybe there's a few times, obviously, where the movie stops for a slight explanation.
Yep.
I can think of a few, like Obi-Wan talking about the Sand People.
Sure.
And it's one sentence, and then we just continue the story.
Monarchs. Sorry, that's all I can think of.
Maybe there's a conversation in that speeder on the way to Tatooine.
Yep.
But it's all... It's all very free flowing, and it carries you through the story.
Yeah, man.
For some reason now, this young adult fiction, and I feel like this is pretty close to young adult fiction, even though they're not books, obviously.
Yeah,
we don't get that. We get one really long scene where someone opens a door, or someone goes through a portal, or someone exposes a land. And the music tells me I should be overwhelmed by this because there's so many things. And then we spend half an hour going, what's that? This is a blah, 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 blah. What's this? Oh, this is a bloody blah, blah, blah. And this
there was
does
one
this, blah,
scene
blah, blah.
where you looked into his world, which was rad, and you didn't want to live there for a while?
I was so not interested.
For starters, that was them showing off their budget because Harry Potter has made so much money. And this is Warner Brothers going, well, let's spend a bit of time here. And, of course, this is probably in 3D, and this is probably the 3D section that everyone went, oh, my God.
They all look great, but everything looks great now. It's got to look better than great now because I've seen great. I've seen it all a bazillion times. There's very few things you can show me that I haven't seen before.
No, I know that, but you got to remember there are people coming to this fresh face, so they don't have any idea. There are people that maybe have not seen Harry Potter and are just going into Fantastic Beasts, which would be weird. That would be weird.
I guess so.
But she builds on the world quite well.
They've seen a movie made in the last 10 years.
Obviously.
So it's. I think, and it's obviously it's a huge problem with even just the Harry Potter. Like that first Harry Potter movie is 2.5 hours
of Hagrid. What is that?
Exactly, and then a plot for 15 minutes at the end. So, but you can see how much better those films get when they're not burdened with that.
Yeah.
And like the books themselves. Like no one considers that first book to be anything other than like you just got to get through it. Yeah,
first two,
because it's you remove that burden of having to do this world building, and it's unfortunately just kind of bad writing because it means that you weren't comfortable doing it. Maybe not so much for Harry Potter because they were designed to be kids' books and they're allowed to be like that.
Yep.
But you weren't comfortable allowing the story to just unfold and have those things organically become part of the story.
Sure.
You feel like you are responsible to just exposition at me.
Yeah.
Without it.
This is this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now that that's out of the way with, I actually feel like we might be in for something kind
a
of
bit
good.
Of a ride.
Yeah, we might be in for something.
And from the trailer, it looks
exciting.
like they didn't give too much away, but they gave like amazing set plots and all of this stuff. It was all...
I mean, the sets look fantastic. We get to go back to Hogwarts, which is really exciting.
It's almost like a rebirth or an origin story of Dumbledore.
Yeah, and I think
portrayed by Jude Law.
Jude Law, I'm really excited about that casting choice. I think that's really great. And even just from his first sentence in the trailer, he just has this. He has that warmth that Dumbledore has.
Man. Do you know what I love? Do you know two of my favorites of Jude Law is Lemony Snicket's him narrating. Have you heard?
I love
Jude
that.
Law
I love that
narrating?
Lemony Snicket's movie.
Oh, that's just a beautiful. Like I can go to sleep to. That's a nice afternoon
He does
movie.
have a lovely voice.
He doesn't he? So good.
Jude Law.
And
I like.
But David Yates again?
I'm a bit done with David Yates, to be honest. I wish they'd try somebody else.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think...
Come on.
I think
he did well last time, but I feel like he fucked the last two Harry Potters, to be honest.
The strength of those...
I didn't like them.
I think
I like the first.
Generally the Harry Potter movies get...
worse as they get older?
No, not at all.
No.
I still think 3 is the best. 4 is a step down,
yes,
but then from there, I think they
is...
keep getting up better quality from there.
Okay. I just didn't like the second part of Deathly Hallows.
Oh, really? I really enjoyed it.
I felt like I felt they made that, like, there were too many things that were in the original text that they didn't do. Like, you can't get rid of the Elder Wand like that. I fucking hated that. Those little things, I know they're little trivial things, but those are the things that make it
it's
for
not
me.
trivial storytelling wise. I think it's more. I don't like getting
bogged down.
Well, because it's kind of like you've got to think about when people choose to adapt stuff, and this is like
that's fine.
I try not to assess their choices. I try to just say, okay, you obviously had a reason.
What was the reason?
And well,
maybe they had a reason.
They would have had a reason. They would have had a bunch of smart people in a room that said, we don't need this because we can do this. And whether or not that works or not, like you can argue, but I don't like to kind of. I don't want to say, oh, you should have done this because it would make it better, because then it starts a chain reaction and you never know where it's going to go from there.
It's going to end, but with something like that, because it's such a big plot point for me, because it is one of the Deathly Hallows, you can't, it's kind of it's diminishing how powerful something is, even though you spent literally all of these movies trying to find them, and then, not Horcruxes, but you spent how long to put whatever this was that high on the pedestal to be something that powerful, and then Harry just... But that's just something small. But that's just something small.
He keeps it? Or?
No, I believe, I could be wrong here, and people are going to kill me if I'm wrong, but I believe they put it back in the coffin with Dumbledore. But yeah, I could be wrong. But it's better than snapping it and throwing it over a bridge. Like, that fucking pissed me off.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ. But not just things like that. Like, I felt that movie in itself, yes, it was a part 2, but that... I don't care if it's a part 2. You should have that movie be a movie with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I felt like you would have had to read the books to understand that film. And having not read the books, you wouldn't really know what the fuck is going on. For me, that's not great.
I watched them before I read them, and I was okay. I reckon part 1 was a little bit more.
I preferred that.
Vaguer if you hadn't read the books. I think part 1, a lot of the character stuff was a little
wishy-washy.
Not wishy-washy. It was actually so subtle because everyone involved had the knowledge of the books. Yeah. And so they chose to do things in a subtler way that I think you would have gone over your head if you hadn't read the books. Because I remember watching that first one and thinking I quite liked it, but not to any extreme level. I think I remember thinking it was on par with, Order of the Phoenix. Like, it was that kind of level. And then after reading the book and then rewatching it, the levels of depth do kind of reveal themselves in that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, David Yates, though, I'm kind of just sick of his
Yatesy.
style. For me, like,
Change it up.
he just doesn't have a really distinctive visual style. I think he did very strong work, but it's all very samey.
Yeah.
And what I was a bit disappointed about with the first Fantastic Beasts as well is just how it's obviously part of the same universe, but I would have loved to have seen a different director's interpretation of that.
Yeah. It's just a bit plain. I know what you're saying. Like, it's not... I'm not saying that it's completely plain.
It's still wonderful to look at
yeah.
and all that, but it's the same shit. We've seen it all before now.
No
And so I would have liked something a little bit new. Just another director's interpretation of that world would have been exciting. And
man.
God, there's so many.
There's so many directors.
So many directors. There's David Yates guy. Maybe he just works for cheap. I don't know.
There's no way that David Yates works for the cheap.
Well, he doesn't do anything
else. What else has David Yates done? I'm looking that up now.
He did that Tarzan.
What Tarzan?
That came out a couple of years ago.
Oh, The Legend of Tarzan.
Did he do that? I feel like he did that.
He did do that.
And that was also fine.
Sarsgaard.
That was a reasonably enjoyable couple of hours at the cinema. I think that had more visual style to it than
really
some of
well, that's the thing with something
stuff.
like Harry Potter. You're getting there's a lot of people at this table.
Yeah,
with there's a lot of red tape that he can and can't work with.
It's true. But
that's okay. We're still going to see it. We'll love it.
Well, maybe. I'm like more optimistic about this one.
Jesus,
now.
He literally hasn't done any other movies bar Harry Potter and Tarzan.
Yeah, I remember.
That is it.
Thinking that
he's done a lot of television.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, what are they doing? He's a safe bet. That's what he is.
He's
a Christopher
what it is.
Columbus.
It's Warner Brothers going. Oh no, we don't want to. We know what we're going to get with Yatesy.
Yeah.
Let's just bring him in here.
Yatesy.
And cut his pay because he'll do it anyway.
He'll do it anyway. Look, he's not working.
Yeah. That's it. Tarzan didn't light the world on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
So they know that they can kind of be like, oh, we've got him by the balls here. So let's cut $2 million off his fee.
And we'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
All right. Well, there it is.
Well, that was trailers.
I'm very excited for our feature presentation.
Bring it on.
And now for our feature presentation.
Hey.
Do you have like a mailbag thing? You were going to get a mailbag. Let's get the mailbag out.
Like
letters. We were going to have letters.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that.
No, you didn't do that. Okay.
I was going to try and find like a theme, but I don't want to get sued.
I love that you put up the... Of course, you put up K-Cost in the Postman.
Oh, yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
I remember that was when that came out. It was just, it was off the back of Waterworld, which I love. I'm a huge fan of Prince of Thieves. I watched around that time. I was like, I was a massive fan of The Bodyguard. I still love the fucking Bodyguard. I love that
Bodyguard
movie.
is so easily
so
watchable.
Good. So around that time when K-Cost was just hot, I was like, well, let's watch what else. I did Dances with Wolves. I think I fell asleep. And then, because do you remember, didn't it come in like a double pack? Remember the video?
I think it might have been a double VHS. Yeah.
Do you remember those things? So yeah, I tried to do that. And then I watched The Postman. And then halfway through The Postman, I'm like, what the fuck is this movie?
I tried to watch it once a long time ago. I don't know if I finished it,
really?
I have never gone back to rewatch it again. When I was working at the video store, I grabbed it and tried to watch it, and was like, no, I'm going to turn this off. And then it was always like, I'll watch it another time. I didn't watch it.
Fair deal.
All
right, first letter in the mailbag.
Yeah, we're going to open up our mailbag.
We're
going to do that, and here we go.
Do the feature pres. Oh yeah.
We're digging into my sack of mail.
Mailbag sack.
And
that's terrible.
I will have fit the fucking feature press.
I know. It'll be fine.
I'll find a spot for it. That's not weird. This is sent to us from friend of the podcast, Emily Rose Carr.
Oh, hi.
Emily, thank you for your email. She emailed us on nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com.
Hi, Em.
And this just proves exactly... We had read this prior, but we hadn't had an opportunity to address this. Yeah. And we missed it during its most appropriate timing. Wait to hear this.
We apologise up front. Go.
Happy Christmas, lads.
In March.
We finally got to it in March.
Good Lord.
Considering the time of year, I'd love to... March, of course. I'd love if you could put together your top 3 seedy hangover movie recommendations. Ooh. I've seen some others floating around the interwebs, and they've all been conveniently promoting Foxtel-based context. Ugh. I agree with that sentiment. There'll be many hangovers in the next few weeks, and I mean, like... Just because it's not Christmas doesn't mean there aren't many.
Anyone is hangover.
I'm still regularly hungover, so this is fine. So any help here would ease the pain. Thanks for a fabulous year of content, and I can't wait until you get stuck into 2018. Emily Rose. Thank you, Emily Rose.
Thank you, Emily Rose.
Great friend and friend of Nick Tyson Videotape.
Yay.
So, Nicholas.
Oh, this is it. Well, starting off the bat, you're going to have to start with how drunk you get. Okay. So when I get drunk, I write it off. I really write it off.
So there's no middle
pin.
ground.
There's no middle ground for me. It's not a light fucking hangover. It's to the point where I'm like, oh, give me some fruit and something really cold on my face.
All the cold.
All the cold. I get really, fucking hell. Don't touch me.
Yes, and no one touch me.
No one fucking touch me.
Or
Nick, the aircon's on. Yes, I know.
Or like pat me. It's one or the other.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
My wife goes, there, you did it to yourself. Fuck you.
Just like a gentle just a gentle caress of the hair.
Exactly. Come up and just give me, you know what I've had? I have had before, one of the times I got insanely hungover and I was throwing up, I passed out in the doorway to my house. This is when I wasn't living with my wife and I still had housemates. The housemate that had just moved in, she was lovely. I knew her from a previous party.
Yeah.
She had moved in 2 weeks. She picks me up. I've only been in the house 2 weeks. She has. Picks me up, puts me in my bed, puts a bucket near me, and puts a cold flannel on me.
That's thinking ahead.
My other housemate, which is how we know each other.
Yes.
David Barclay walked past
David
me.
Barclay.
I went, "Hey, buddy, how you going?"
Yeah. Hey, bud, how you doing?
And that was it.
Drew a dick on your face with a texter.
Fucking bastard. So in
the levels of hangover, you think affect
levels of hangover, I feel affected. So if I do get to this level of hangover, I'm putting on something that I can come in and out of, and it's not going to affect the watching.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think you need to be comfortable with the fact that if you put this on, there's a chance you're going to miss 20-minute blocks here and there, either through zoning out or legitimately sleeping or vomit breaks.
Vomit breaks, exactly. You're like, shit,
it's
coming.
You don't want any kind of movie you have to pause to get up and get that third cup of ice water.
Exactly. You want to turn it on, and doesn't matter where the fucking remote is. You're good.
And you're good. And no, you don't want any too dramatic, loud shifts in volume.
Oh, not too quickly.
No, not too quickly.
Exactly.
So
you don't want to put on Mad Max.
Yeah.
Where it's like, whoa, fuck.
No giant chainsaw sounds or car revving sounds. You do have to be pretty careful, don't you?
You do.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. So, is there? I mean, I've actually got 3 kind of distinct things that I feel like I want.
You aim for
when I'm hungover.
I'm the same.
There's one thing that I'm going to get out of the way that sometimes if I am especially hungover,
you watch Cats and Dogs.
No, I just yell Batman until Batman ends up on my television somehow. And I don't it doesn't matter which one it is.
Animated series.
It can be animated, being cartoon. It can be fucking Batman and Robin.
If anyone is, this goes out to anyone who's listening to the podcast at this point and sees Tyson do this. Please put on Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin. Just put it on for
so
him.
I can be like, not this Batman. But literally, I've spent time. I'm just like, I want to watch Batman. I want to watch Batman, and I just search until Batman's on.
Nice.
But aside from that, that's in extreme circumstances.
Yep.
I feel like I actually have 3 categories that I need a movie to fill from. So I've found my categories, and I've actually listed 3 different films that match them.
Nice. Okay.
So the first category, I'll see if you might be able to guess them.
Okay.
But the first category, so this is number 3, is that specifically over-the-top ridiculous comedy. That it's not dumb. It's not a dumb comedy because it has to be really. It's not. It's
I
very
don't know
smart
what you're talking
dumb.
about.
But it's the one that kind of makes you giggle.
You're watching Dodgeball, aren't you, Tyson?
Nicholas, you have nailed it,
We've
my
been doing
friend.
this podcast for long enough. I know. You're watching Dodgeball.
That was my choice. That was exactly my choice of that. Because it's a very specific kind of comedy. Because it's the kind of comedy that makes you go...
My favourite joke is at the start. Hello, you've... hey, this is so-and-so from the video store. You've got late returns on... He names 2 pawns and then... Mona Lisa's smile. And I'm like, yeah, Mona Lisa's smile.
Perfect. So that's. I think that it's funny that you got that in a heartbeat, but because there are a couple other choices that you could think of, Old School is another one that comes to mind, big time that I would watch in those circumstances. Even some of the older stuff, like if you chucked on a Naked Gun,
chuck on Night at the Rocks. That's a little loud.
No, Night at the Rocks is a good choice. Yeah. That's a really good choice.
Yeah.
Hot Shots, anything Zucker Brothers, you're pretty safe.
Exactly.
But I just thought for this particular
chuck
hangover,
on Me, Myself, and Irene. Chuck on that.
Oh, Farrelly Brothers. I don't know, man. They might be a little bit too
full on.
I don't don't think I could get through There's Something About Mary. I don't think I could do it.
No, that kind of... I watched that recently. It was like on TV and I was like, oh, yeah, Something About Mary. Oh, I remember this. This was boring as hell.
Oh, boring?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I haven't watched it for a very long time.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I think because I overdid it back when Something About Mary came out. I feel like everyone overdid it.
Everyone overdid it. That movie was like cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I know.
And so that's my first category.
Nice one. I like it.
What would be your choice for that category, Nick?
For dumb... Just
particularly, I refrain from using smart dumb.
Smart dumb comedies. Not dumb comedy. Smart dumb.
I don't want to watch like white chicks. I don't know why that just came to my mind. I don't want to watch a dumb comedy. I don't want to watch Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Smart dumb comedy.
You're not watching. Is it Bad Neighbours? Where would you put Bad Neighbours?
Bad Neighbours are excellent films. Both of those. Yeah, both of those are really smart.
My wife loves those movies, and she is that person that will.
The Rose Byrne character.
She is. She will go, keep it down. She will do that accidentally. Keep talking. I need to. Oh, you know what I'd watch?
What?
I'd watch 21 Jump Street.
Perfect
Bang,
choice.
Right there.
Perfect
and
choice.
The fucking sequel back to back.
And the sequel. Yeah, back to back. And that knocks out.
And that
knocks out your day.
You're fine.
That's it. Because if you wake up at midday and watch both 21 and 22 Jump Street, suddenly it's like 5 o'clock. You can start thinking about dinner.
Exactly. Get some KFC into you.
Get some dirty KFC.
You'll be fine.
Sorted.
It's going to be an okay day.
It's going to be an okay day.
Just make sure you don't have anything to do the next day, which we all have.
Which we always do.
We always do.
So my second category.
Go on.
Is big, dumb, you'll notice the trend, big, dumb action movies.
As we can see, Tyson is not wanting to think at all on any fucking level, which, to be honest, when you're hungover, you don't need to.
Yeah,
you want fruit given to you in a bowl.
It's
fresh.
These are the things
it's a big bowl.
are the most satisfying to me. So a big, dumb action movie.
Yeah, man.
No, but I don't want, it doesn't... It needs to be an action movie that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's a really important line. But it needs to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
It needs to be a little bit silly and a little bit outrageous.
Okay.
There needs to be some really incredible action sequences that I can kind of be a bit like, whoa!
Oh, how was that shit?
I love that bit.
Fucking hell, God, I'm hot. It's fucking warm.
Yeah, it's really hot. And preferably like a longish one as well, because it's the same thing. It kills a lot of time.
So, this is where I come in with my choices. So
what's your choice?
But when choosing something, this is where I sit. I'll either sit, you know how we talked about, it either has to be, which depends on the type of hangover.
Yeah.
It either has to be a very quiet film. Like I can go yes, comedy, but oh, that was nice. That was funny. It's not too loud. It's just, talking. No big sounds. Or I want the opposite. I'm slightly hungover, but give me something that I can watch. Give me something that I can...
I would be turning the volume down on these
Oh,
ones.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They won't be... They won't be up at full blast. This won't be like the test of the new soundbar situation kind of stuff.
Fair deal.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I like to... Nick's home by himself. I'm going to watch whatever I want. What can I watch? Now, normally, I would go towards the Marvel superhero section.
Absolutely.
But because I'm hungover... I feel, now this is just me, I feel that if I'm hungover, I don't want to waste a watch of a Marvel movie on me being hungover.
That's not a bad
Do you know what I mean?
idea.
Because I feel like, if I watch it now, that's 6 months gone for me rewatching that.
Sure.
I don't want to watch it because I
cool.
just watched it. So me being hungover, I'm going to miss things. So that's where I go to some Transformers.
Oh, no. No. Although, to be quite honest...
The first one. I'm just watching the first one.
You've got to be at least drunk or hungover or under some kind of influence to watch those
enjoy
films.
That shit.
They're just
exactly.
garbage. But
I want to watch Shia LaBeouf or however I still don't know how to say his fucking name. Running from Transformers. Yeah, get him. Get
that little shit.
Because it's slightly funny. There are some comedy
choice.
elements. And, every now and then you get a... And it's awesome.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice. I like that. I like that.
So yeah, Transformers is one. The other one that I'll chuck on, which is to be honest, it can bend towards the serious side of action, but it's motherfucking Point Break.
Yeah, that was actually one that I was going to possibly include.
Give me two.
Yeah.
Point Break.
That was
original, not remake.
No, always.
Yeah, Jesus.
There is no remake.
No.
The one that I ended up eventually going with, though, as my big dumb action film choice was, of course, The Rock.
Oh, The Rock! Oh, of course!
I think that is default
Stanley
hangover.
Goodspeed, baby.
Stanley Goodspeed. Yeah.
You get chuck in some Nick Cage.
You get Nick Cage doing like a very acceptable Nick Cage. Still like a pretty crazy Nick Cage performance.
But it's someone's gone, hey Nick,
it's
just
you're the Rocket Man.
Yeah. Just dull it back a bit.
Yeah.
Someone's caged the cage.
Michael Bay, you reckon, told him to pull it back a bit?
Yeah,
I actually
dude.
think Nick Cage was just like he wasn't trolling people as much as he does
Oh,
now,
really?
where he's actually just trying to see what he can get away with.
Yeah, and you get some Sean Connery.
Sean
in it.
Connery,
And
great
you get
Sean Connery.
Probably one of the best is Ed Harris.
Ed Harris is
performances.
so great in it.
That start,
David
man.
Morse as well, who I love.
I love David Morse. Is David Morse like 6'6"? The guy is massive, isn't he? He's huge, and he's my favourite in the Green
David
Mile.
Morse, David Prowse. No, David Morse. David
you got
Prowse
it,
is
you got
fucking Darth Vader.
Yeah. No, Morse. Green Mile, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. How good is the fucking Rock?
I love it. It's legitimately Michael Bay. It's funny that we both chose Michael Bay movies.
Yeah. See, there you go.
It's actually, I would say, his only like objectively good film. I think.
Oh, really?
I think everything he's done, there are levels of enjoyment to them. I think Armageddon, there are levels of enjoyment.
Yeah, but there's a lot of downtime.
It is not
on
an objectively
Armageddon.
good film. It is like it's trash that is just so watchable.
And it's towards the end, you're just getting one-liners. Like it's just fucking horrible in the end. Armageddon. Even though I own
space madness.
I own it, and I love it. I just want to feel the power between my legs, brother. No nukes, no.
Whereas, The Rock, I think, is legitimately a good film.
Yeah,
but
really
it's
is.
so easily digestible. And it's like 2.5 fucking hours long.
Oh, is it?
It's long as shit. I might be exaggerating. It's at least 2 and a bit hours.
And I love, you get that, it has that, I'm going to use the theme song for Speed, but because of the time limit, you get that
The score is amazing.
The score is amazing. I remember.
And my last category.
Green smoke. You seen green smoke? There's green. Yeah, sorry.
Perfect. I love the bit where he puts the goo in the guy's face and then punches him.
He uppercuts his face.
Then has to go pump himself with the fucking adrenaline or whatever
into his heart
while
green smoking,
while flaring, and the fucking planes fly over his head. That is a great little sequence.
And he drops, and he's just a sequence with a guy with the massive fucking binoculars is looking. He's like, there he is. Oh,
it's good.
So good.
Good movie.
And probably the last good performance from Sean Connery. I'm pretty sure. Name one after, because it definitely wasn't fucking Extraordinary Gentleman.
Finding Forrester.
Jesus. Pull that out of nowhere,
Yeah,
didn't you?
I don't know if he's any good in it. I've watched it once and it was fine. I just remember it being like a rip-off of Good Will Hunting. The last category,
go for it.
And you've kind of brought this up already, is that I like to watch a superhero movie.
Yeah, buddy.
But I like to watch a superhero movie that is not the obvious choice.
Yeah.
So if it...
Are you watching The Phantom? You sick fuck.
No, okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. The example I was going to give, but not what I've chosen, is something like The Shadow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A bit of a kind of an obscure superhero movie that maybe I haven't seen a heap, or no, actually that's not true. Some of these I have seen more than the other ones. But the kind of ones where it's not the big one. So if I'm going to watch a Batman, right, I might watch Mask of the Phantasm.
Fucking rad.
You know what I mean? Like try and mix it up a little bit.
For those of you who don't know what that is, get onto it. You just heard him say it. You Google it and watch it.
And so actually, for my choice this, I've decided that this particular hangover, I'm going to watch Superman 2.
Yes.
Which I fucking love.
I love that.
And
that's awesome.
I know it's not as good a film as Superman 1, but fuck do I love it.
Man, I love it.
And
you get Ursa, you get General Zod, who's fucking way better than anything that Michael Shannon did.
Yeah.
With that character.
Terrence Stamp. Terrifying.
Oh, how good is that? You're down for me, Jarrell. You will kneel before me, Joel. You will kneel before me. Yeah. And one day. Yes! Oh, how scary is that?
That's terrifying. I love it.
I fucking love it.
So that was my choice. Superman
nice
2.
one.
Superman 2.
Oh, I like that. Well, in that, I would probably, if I were, because now that category is open up to me, because that's a really good idea, I would probably watch Spawn, the movie.
Not bad.
There you go.
That's right in there too.
Yeah.
I've got Spawn. I've got the director's cut of Spawn.
There's a director
imported from overseas.
Ooh.
It's not. It still doesn't make the movie good.
Horrible.
But for some, I saw that in the cinema.
Yeah,
and
we got the director's cut in the cinema.
Did we?
Yeah, I remember.
No shit.
Yeah, because there was more to it. I was so into Spawn at that time. I hilariously enough, this is the only time I've ever hitchhiked.
Oh.
I hitchhiked to the cinema with my friend to see Spawn. Yeah.
It was an adventure.
It was fun. It was like a block or it was fine. It was nothing. But it was just going to be fuck walking.
Sure.
So we hitchhiked. And a friend of ours picked us up. It was awesome. But a friend of ours picked us up. But it wasn't even a real hitchhike, for fuck's sake.
Oh, well then that's not the same.
I knew everyone in the neighbourhood, for fuck's sake. It was fine. But old Rosebud Cinema.
Bless.
Yeah.
We
saw
was...
that, and then I bought it on VHS, I believe, and it was different.
It was different.
And I was pissed.
Interesting. I have the soundtrack too. Because I remember...
Wasn't there a lot of...
It was team-ups. It was like a kind of hard rock metal artist teamed up with a dance artist, and they would do like a crossover track.
Bring on the remake of Spawn.
Well, it's happening. Todd McFarlane's actually doing a Spawn movie.
But he's been doing it for years.
That's finally actually happening.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it Netflix original? Is it
no, I think it's going to be
Is it animated?
cinema. No, it's live action.
It's live action.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
is
there
Michael J. White playing Spawn again?
Oh, he should.
He
man.
fucking should.
He
It
was
was
so
him,
good.
yeah?
Yeah, Michael J. White.
It was.
Yeah, one of his very early performances.
He was fucking spot on.
Yeah, he was.
But
He's so good, man. I like him a lot.
Emily Rose?
Emily Rose, thank you for your letter. Hope you've
Thank you for your letter.
got some recommendations for your next hangover, which I know you have frequently.
They're very they're very testosterone filled, but hey, you know.
Yeah, actually, I'm never in the mood to watch a romantic comedy when I've got a hangover.
No, see, that's the thing. That was my quiet section. So normally, if I would, I would pick a comedy from that or a loud movie. But if I'm going something, and you're going to hate this, I would watch Hitch. Will Smith is Hitch. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I can literally, but that's a hangover to the
I
point
saw that
where
at the cinema. What the fuck was I doing?
Really?
Yeah.
So I would. That's a night where I've stayed out until about 4 or 5. I come home. I've slept a bit, but then I've woken up because I've got a shitty hangover, thrown up a ton, and then just put on Hitch and then fallen asleep. That's what I would have done.
Good call.
It's a nice quiet one. I like this movie. Oh, it's Will Smith in it.
Kevin James fucking farting around the joint.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Kevin James, before he was a mall cop.
Paul Blart.
Paul Blart, mall
Prequel.
Cop. Paul Blart, prequel.
All right, thank you,
next
Rose. Next question. The next question comes from a friend of the podcast and multiple guest host.
Oh.
Nicole Kiley. Nicole Kiley. And Nicole writes, hey guys. So
Hey guys.
This is also from quite a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
So at the train station, I just saw a poster for Geostorm.
Tyson, have you seen Geostorm?
I have seen Geostorm.
Jesus Christ.
And was disheartened to see that it looked like Gerard Butler holding a small child. Even though I don't think Geostorm will be a masterpiece, somehow she saw the future there. It got me thinking about how much I hate when a decent action movie is fucked up by the presence of an annoying child. So I was wondering, what can you guys list in terms of good child? And her example is Terminator 2, which I think some would argue is not a great child performance.
No, Edward Furlong.
Versus a bad child performance. And her example is White House Down. Cheers,
why
Nick.
would I ever see that?
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
We always appreciate your input.
Hell yeah. This is a hard one for me. I had to really think about this.
Well,
because I couldn't think of a good one.
Well, this is in action movies, I was kind of like, I find most of them inoffensive. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, for instance, because so often the daughter or the son ends up being kind of part of the hostage situation. Do you know what I mean? Or they just get cut to every now and then, and they're watching like the news report of it happening.
Last Boy Scout.
They don't have enough of an influence. Well, I think actually, Last Boy Scout's not a bad example. She does she actually spends a bit of time with them.
Yeah.
There's that bit where,
but at the
get up,
yeah.
you know, and that's actually really effective. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
But you know, like for instance, like Air Force One, she's just there.
Yeah, she's just there. And she's another hostage, basically.
Yeah. What's
another good one?
Like the daughter in Independence Day.
Oh God.
Who grows up to be in the new one?
Does she?
Yeah,
I need to see the new one.
Where she doesn't really like she's just there every now and then.
No, she's no influence into the story.
She's just the story. Yeah. So I find them kind of inoffensive, and I'm fine. I'm just fine with it.
Fair deal.
So,
but where do you sit with them having an influence in the story?
Well, so what I tried to do was to find some that had an influence on the story that I thought were really good.
Yeah.
And there were a few that I wanted to highlight. One that we've already talked about in the show. And I can't remember if you enjoyed her performance or not, but I remember enjoying it or not.
I like
and that's Dakota Fanning in War of the Worlds. I really enjoy her performance a lot. And
I do like her performance.
I can't remember.
I've always liked Dakota Fanning. I think she's gearing up to be one of the really good actors that we've got.
She
is so spot on the mark. She's so mature with her acting.
Yeah, but in a way that doesn't feel like a kid pretending.
Has been directed in that way.
It feels so natural.
Exactly.
I think what she does in War of the Worlds is really, really hard to pull off, and she does it really well.
Yeah.
It's funny how, with some Googling, how often she turned up on lists of the most annoying children in film.
What?
Yeah, that role. And I was
Fuck
like,
off.
I don't know
She's awesome.
what you guys are talking about.
One of my favourite movies, now that it comes to mind, is Man of Fire, with her in that.
And she's great in
And
Man
I
of Fire
fucking
as well.
love that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, another good performance.
Mm.
I had an absolute classic for me. It's not necessarily an action film, but I think it still kind of qualifies.
Yeah.
And it's Kirsten Dunst in Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Which
totally influences the film, and she is
so
spot on the
and
mark.
such a hard gig because she has to play somebody who is a 100-year-old vampire trapped inside a 12-year-old girl's body.
Yeah.
So it's while she starts off being able to be a kid, she has to grow into this like really mature woman, still in that body. And I think she sells it like 100%. She does some really great work in that.
That movie is probably, I think, my favorite Tom Cruise performance. Because he plays the villain so well.
He does it. He's really great in that film.
Yeah.
He's really great. I don't know if it's my favorite. I'd have to have a bit of a look, but it'd be up there for sure.
Yeah.
It's also got one of my favorite Antonio Banderas. And Stephen Rhee as well.
Stephen
Ray, who is
sorry.
in a whole bunch of rubbish now, but does an incredible performance in Interview with the Vampire.
Fucking scary.
Scary as shit.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't speak. No, he
speaks.
When does he have dialogue?
He has dialogue when he's talking to... Oh, no, maybe he doesn't. I'm thinking of Antonio Banderas. No, he does speak. No, he does. No, he totally does. Okay. He totally does. I've seen it enough. Me and my brother watched that thing like up to times.
The way he can do that thing where he kind of fast runs around and then he's got the weird creepy eyeballs and the bit where he first meets him and he walks upside down in the tunnel and
scary.
Terrifying.
Fuck, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's a really good movie.
I want to rewatch it, but I'm scared that it's not going to hold up as well because it was. I just fucking loved it.
I know. That was up there with The Crow. That was a 90s movie that fucking just, you watched it when you were going through high school and you're like, man, this is boss. Yeah.
Watched it. It gave me and I had this, it made me read all the books. It got me so,
really? All the
a lot of my kind of vampire, because everyone goes through their phase and I'm still in that phase. Like, I don't think I ever left the vampire kind of pop culture phase. Like, I just love vampire stories.
Yeah.
I think they're the most interesting of all the kind of mythical
of the monsters. Yeah, because they come with so many rules and so many of these things.
It's the history of it all. Like, I love this idea that you can cram 300 years of history into one vessel.
Monster? Yeah.
And so, like, I can't imagine how I would think if I had been alive for 300 years, considering how differently I think from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yesterday.
And all the knowledge you would accumulate and all the, like, it's just such a really clever idea for that whole idea of immortality.
One of mine from the top for this question was, which I loved, is she has influence, so that's where I kind of pulled from. So is The Nice Guys.
Yeah, great choice.
Would you rate that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's an Australian actress as well.
She kicks ass in that movie. And her friend who gets told to fuck off.
She's got a strange name, and I want to get her name right because...
But yeah.
Because, yes, I agree. Excellent performance. And she popped up she was in The Beguiled as well.
Oh, was she?
I believe so.
She's
just got an odd name, and I remember I couldn't pronounce it last time either. Yeah, Anguri?
Angry?
Anguri. Anguri.
Keep going. One more time.
Yeah, she is in The Beguiled.
Anguri.
Yeah.
Anguri Rice. She was rad.
Yeah, she was rad.
She was really rad.
I also had Haley Steinfeld from the True Grit
reboot.
I think was a really great performance from her.
She was really good in that. I didn't like that movie, but she was great.
Oscar nominated?
She was Oscar nominated for that.
Best supporting actress? Yeah.
Sure was.
She's stunning. We have Saoirse Ronan, one of her very early performances in Hannah. I don't know if you remember Hannah.
I have seen Hannah. That was fucking rad.
Hannah is great.
Jeez, that was good.
Banner,
I just
Kate
didn't.
Blanchett.
It was such a rad setup, and then I wanted more at that ending. I'm like, you have trained an assassin that is amazing, and I am not seeing, like...
It's one of those things, like, where you're selling this movie and you can go one of two ways. You can have a big kind of show of force finale, or you can choose to have a really quiet kind of introspective finale.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that the best choice was to go that way, but at the same time, I think it's also kind of pretty great, but I would love to see the other version. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as much as I was on board with it at the end, and I thought it was quite, it was very quiet and reflective. God, it would have been great to just see her kick some fucking ass.
Seriously, I wanted her to go to town.
Yeah.
I wanted to see all of this training come to fruition. It would have been rad.
There is, of course, Natalie Portman in The Professional.
Oh, dude. How is that not at the top?
They're in no particular order.
Oh, okay. No, take it easy. I rate Edward Furlong.
I don't think. Yeah,
rate him. I love that.
I think he does some cool stuff. I think some of his line delivery is a little kind of like mannered. I think he's a bit affected by what he knows about acting and being around certain people for a while. Like, it's not a natural child performance. I don't think it's just
no. It's too directed.
It's stylized and directed, but not that it makes it particularly bad because it's just how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But the last one I wanted to mention, and it was funny because I realized that I actually hadn't listed any
bad ones.
Any male.
Oh, any male.
Ones. I was like, for some reason, I was like, wow, of all the ones that I really like, they're generally all female characters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, and I actually struggled to find a male one. Yeah, I was like, wow, like, and it's funny because it's obviously an action movie context. You don't often have the son.
I can mention shit ones.
Yeah, and I can mention shit ones.
Yeah,
yeah, but the sons don't come up as often as the daughters. The only one I could think of as the son was in Olympus Has Fallen, and I actually was really I dug that because you thought it was going to be one of those times where the son would be hanging around for the whole movie, but they got him out really quickly, and it was just like, great, they've dealt with it, excellent, really good, excellent work. Okay. But so the one I did want to highlight, and this is in no way an action film, it's actually a very quiet gangster drama. That's Tyler Hoechlin in Road to Perdition as the son of Tom Hanks.
Oh, wow. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Jude Law in that movie.
Oh, Jesus,
what a performance.
Fucking terrifying. But yeah, so Tyler, who has grown up to be like a fucking meat axe of a dude too, man. Like from Teen Wolf and some other things. He is buff. Superman. He played Superman in the Supergirl series.
He did.
And yeah, his performance in Road to Perdition, I think, is excellent. Excellent.
Nice. Good one.
Yeah.
Are we doing bad ones?
I had two bad ones.
You had two bad ones. Well,
What are your bad ones?
No, you go first. Because one of mine that always sticks out because I actually liked this movie, hilariously enough.
Yeah.
But then again, I haven't watched it in years, so it could be really, really shit.
Yeah.
Was Mercury Rising?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember
the
that?
little kid who he's like he plays him because he's autistic.
Autistic, yeah.
Yeah.
But
and that's a kid pretending to be autistic.
Which
you know
is
you're in trouble. Yeah.
Which
you know
is
you're
horrible.
in trouble.
Yeah.
And what's his name from. God,
I forget his name. He's from,
the kid from Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I don't know his name though.
He's
but
terrifying.
yeah, that movie, I remember it being quite good, but every scene with the kid in it just dropped. And because it was Bruce Willis kind of in his, not in his prime, but it was good Bruce Willis.
Miko Hughes.
That's his name. Yeah, I was like, no, what are you doing? No, go away. You know, and that was one of them. I'm going to have to look up my notes. So you
he
say
was. I was about to say, I feel like he's the girls have a penis, boys have a vagina.
Yeah, he is that kid.
He is that kid.
Kindergarten cop. Yeah.
I just said girls have a penis, boys have a vagina. Is that what I just said?
You did say that. We're not editing that out. That's gold. Of course they do.
Oh, dear.
And you're a teacher. Do you teach sex ed? Good Lord.
Could you imagine? Oh, my God. Oh, that's a horrible idea. Mercury Rising, who directed that?
Mercury Rising.
Becker. God, I haven't thought of that movie in many years.
Yeah.
Many, many years. Oh, that's interesting. I might rewatch Mercury Rising.
Don't do that.
No, he's directed a couple of movies I don't mind.
Don't do that. Citizen Kane is crying in the corner.
Hey, so do you know what I've got? So one of my bad ones.
Hang on a minute.
There's the all-time worst of all.
No, wait. The one at the top of my thing that I forgot to mention was Logan.
Oh, yeah,
Jesus.
Daphne Keenan in Logan. Wonderful performance.
Dude, that is a performance out of fucking nowhere, man.
Yeah, she's something else.
Oh.
Something else.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go.
That's all right. So the kid that plays Rocky's kid in Rocky 4.
Oh, God, I haven't seen
His name is also Rocky, though. That's just kind of funny. It's Rocky Krakoff.
His real name is Rocky?
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel bad for this kid, but he's just garbage. And the main one that I think is a point of contention for many people is, of course, Jake Lloyd as young Anakin Skywalker.
Fuck me.
Who is terrible.
Jesus.
Just absolutely terrible.
If that movie wasn't bad enough, you add that crap onto it.
And it's so unfortunate because I think we can be really harsh on kid actors because they don't have the experience.
Sure.
But I'm fairly forgiving of kid actors where it's just kind of like, hey, you know what? You don't really know your way around yet. Just don't be distractingly bad.
But
just be fine. He is distractingly bad.
Yeah. But the thing is, what also didn't help him was the fact that he is playing a character who we know what's going to happen. So he's already got really big shoes to fill. Of course, this doesn't come into fruition until Hayden Christensen, but and he just adds to the fucked up of these prequels. But
he's no good.
He's terrible. He had the script. He had a terrible script to work with. It wasn't his fault. But yeah, because the kid he's not even cute. There's no cute scene. And the fact that him and Natalie Portman end up getting together, I'm like, dude, he's really young. Like, he's like 6, and you're clearly already 14. Like, yeah, it was just horrible. It was horrible to watch. Yet I will watch it again for 2 things: Duel of Fates and Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul is one of the great characters to exist in Star Wars.
But
at the same time, I'm also like, he suffers from Boba Fett disease, where like he's great in concept, but he doesn't really do much.
That's because he was given fuck all to.
And that's what I mean. So, like, I think we love the character. We love the possibilities of the character more than the actual character itself.
Have I told you about my Darth Maul storyline that I think they should have done? Let me do this. Let me geek out. Here we go. Okay.
Do it.
So end of Phantom Menace. How about he gets away? He doesn't get cut in half.
Yes.
He gets away in some way.
Sure.
He has a little bit of a battle with Obi-Wan, but he gets away somehow. Something happens with an explosion. Let's say...
Or maybe he just doesn't get cut in half. He just gets pushed down that thing that he falls into and somehow lives.
Yeah. Not like A Force Awakens where the Earth literally divides and they can't fight anymore. Instead of that, have him go away. Don't have him in... Attack of the Clones, and then instead of what was the robot? Grievous. Instead of him, Darth Maul comes back. Darth Maul comes back, and you have Obi-Wan not only going after him because he has to, but goes after him with a vendetta.
Sure.
There's a fucking... I can write this thing. Let's do it again. Let's redo it again.
I mean, like, the whole thing about these fucking movies is, like, you could throw up about 40 different ideas, and I think 38 of them would be better than what we got.
No one's thought of that idea. That's my idea, by the way. I'm copyrighting that. Copyright
on
Nick
a story
Tyson Videotape.
Structure level, I reckon there are at least,
There's about 50.
You can pull things out of a hat, and they would
things.
Mostly be better.
Yeah.
I think there's some thematic stuff that is pretty consistent that doesn't get fully realised in those movies, and that stuff's fine. But yeah, like on a plot level, I reckon,
man.
God, you could almost substitute anything into those films.
Shit. And I love how nowadays, if you in movies, if you shoot the mothership and all of the bad guys go down, it's they Phantom Menaced it.
Yeah, God, that's being used way too much.
And that's just a thing now.
It's such a cop-out, isn't it?
Oh, God. Imagine how good it would have been in Avengers 1 had that have to round up the fucking Chitauri. Come on.
Well, I mean,
they
wouldn't even have to do it in Avengers. It just could have been something that gets referenced in the next movie.
Or they've passed it on to S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV series, and S.H.I.E.L.D. would have done it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That could have been part of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s fucking storyline. Rounding up the Chitauri, and there's a few, like... Maybe there's, like, a few, like, generals amongst the Chitauri that are, like, good boss-level kind of...
Chitauri that they can...
for S.H.I.E.L.D. Whereas, Anyway,
moving on.
Hey, thanks, Nicole, for your email.
Nicole, thanks for your email.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to our next question.
Next question.
This one's an exciting one. I'm pretty excited.
Bring it on. Oh, really?
Hey, Nick and Tice.
Oh. Who is this from?
This is from Michael.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
I'm Michael Unknown.
Michael, just Michael.
Not a friend of the podcast.
Oh.
Well, he is now a friend of the podcast because he's written us an email. So I thank you very much, Michael.
Michael, whoever you are, I hear you're attractive. What's going on?
Hey, Nick and Tice. Considering you guys are such fans of 80s and 90s action movies,
Ooh.
I was wondering what your favourite movies of each of the big action movie stars were. Arnie, Stallone, Van Damme, and Seagal. Love the show. Keep up the good work, Michael.
Oh, wow. Bruce Willis doesn't get a mention in here?
I know, right?
Dude, Michael.
See, but that's a bit different, though. He's
kind of on another level, isn't he? He's a bit more dramatic.
Bruce kind of played both field.
Yeah. He did the dramatic. He did the comedy.
He would pop up in other things, not just like
Striking Distance,
the Van Damme movies.
Let's watch Striking Distance.
Striking fucking Distance. I just remember that's got a bonkers Tom Sizemore performance in it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it does.
Tom Sizemore, what a scumbag.
Jesus Christ. I love that he brought out his own sex tape.
Oh, of course he did. No one cared.
Fucking idiot.
No one wants to see that man have sex with anybody.
Even though we say this about him, I love him in Black Hawk Down. He's
he's great in so much stuff.
Yeah.
He's so good in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah,
and so, like, for a guy who it's turned out is just a garbage
Just
human being.
Yeah, piece of shit.
In Saving Private Ryan, he's so sympathetic and so trusting.
Yeah, man.
Like, he earns our trust. I mean, like, as Tom Hanks is kind of second in command.
Yeah.
And he's a garbage human being.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is
Black Hawk Down again. Sorry, keep
yeah,
going.
it's a good
keep
movie.
going.
That's
keep
a
going.
good movie.
Yeah.
So this is a tough question.
Really? Well, this took me. This gets tough for me. This is going to be harder for you because you're more of a you love Van Damme. I like Van Damme, but you love Van Damme.
I do love Van Damme.
Exactly. So this is a little bit easier for me. What I found hard was can we tier this? Let's start at the bottom. Let's start with Seagal.
Seagal. He's easily the least favorite of both of us.
But there are.
I had a runner-up and a winner for each. Did you have a runner-up for each?
I had a runner-up and a winner for everyone bar Seagal.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so Seagal for me is it begins and ends with Under Siege.
Under Siege.
Yeah.
It's easily the best film that he was in.
Yeah.
Because
that's not to say I want it. We've talked about this before. The covers. Is it Marked for Death? What's the one with him with the shotgun on the front?
That's all of them. No, I think it might be. It's really hard to tell, man. It's really hard to tell because it could be what my runner-up is.
I'm looking it up.
Which is because all right. So my runner-up was Out for Justice.
Out for Justice.
Which of that little run of Seagal movies, which I haven't seen. Which one haven't I seen yet?
Go on.
I haven't seen
Exit Wounds.
I've seen Exit Wounds, so I'm talking. If we go back to,
he does have a shotgun on everything.
So I've seen Nico, Above the Law.
Yeah.
I've seen Marked for Death. I've seen Out for Justice. What am I missing?
Hard to Kill.
Hard to Kill I haven't seen yet. So Hard to Kill is the one that's missing from my little 4-pack that I haven't watched yet.
A 4-pack?
Yeah,
Decent.
I've got a 4-pack of Seagal.
I love a 4-pack.
And Out for Justice is actually pretty great.
It's Out for Justice that I'm thinking of. That's the cover that I'm thinking of.
So that's a pretty great early 90s action movie.
William Forsythe.
William Forsythe is terrifying.
Scary fucker.
It's got some cool performances, some really great action scenes, and it goes to some pretty dark places.
That's the cover I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so that's a
how good is that?
It's a good, legitimately enjoyable film. Nico Above the Law, I was pretty disappointed by. I found it was a bit kind of let down. Marked for Death is bonkers, but also in certain parts of it, it's so enjoyable, and then other points, it's a real letdown. So.
Wow, he only did Nico Above the Law is his first film, 1988. And then he was straight 90s, basically.
Yeah.
That was the only 80s movie he did.
And
then Under Siege wasn't that far behind.
No, Under Siege was 93 or something, 94? 92, was it really?
And has the raddest actor, Casey Ryback. How rad is that?
Yeah. So, well, look, there's no argument there. Under Siege is the best film easily of
No one's
of
watching
Seagal.
Glimmer Man. No one's watching... Oh, then I'm not going to...
Yeah, there's an endless list. I'll tell you what I did watch once. I watched Against the Dark.
Oh, really?
Which was a really bad straight-to-video vampire movie that he was in. And it's unwatchable. It's just...
I need to watch some Steven Seagal. Can you
saw
stream
it?
this shit?
No, I don't think... Oh, you can... There's plenty that are available to stream.
Can we just mention, though, by the way... Speaking of pieces of shit.
Yeah, right.
Fucking hell.
Speaking of giant turds.
Giant
what do you
fucking Trump-supporting pricks.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Keep going. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was talking about Against the Dark. I think I watched it on one of those preview DVDs that we got at the video store where it was...
time coded.
You get two different things. Yeah, and it had the time code on it.
I love that shit.
Well, so who do you want to move to next then? That's our Seagal choice.
Well, I'm going to let you choose because the top two... can be Stallone and Arnie, but we could do...
Let's do Stallone first.
Do you want to do Stallone first?
Yeah.
I figured you would.
Let's do Stallone first.
All right. Well, you go first because I need to... I'm a bit wishy-washy on my runner-up.
All right. Well, my runner-up is Copland.
Nice movie.
I only say because... Which is kind of a cop-out choice, funnily enough,
sure.
Copland. Because it's not his... Like, it's not from his... It's his action movie heyday.
Yeah.
I thought about putting Cliffhanger into that space. Because I really enjoy Cliffhanger. But
I haven't seen that in decades.
The first time I saw Copland, I legitimately thought I'd found, like, an all-time classic.
Oh, really?
And I still feel that it's an exceptionally good film, but I think I was just overwhelmed with how excited I was by Stallone's performance.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a turning point. I really did think that we were going to be like talking about him like Brando, like that kind of style where it was like, we are finally seeing what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go that way for him, unfortunately, which kind of sucks because I think you watch him in something like this and you watch him in the later Rocky films, there is a really beautiful, understated actor in there, and he unfortunately
I think he can. I think he needs to stop writing and directing himself.
Sure.
And I think he needs to...
I think he's a really good writer. I think he's better when he has someone else directing him.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think those Expendable movies could have been fucking boss, but unfortunately the writing and the directing didn't help.
He only directed the first one.
In saying that, I prefer 2.
Yeah, 2's the best one
my fave.
of the 3, and that was directed by Simon West.
And that's because Van Damme was insane in that.
Villain. His name was literally villain, just with an accent. I loved it.
Villain. Can I say my runner-up?
Yeah.
Yeah, my runner-up is definitely Demolition Man.
Demolition Man?
Demolition Man.
Good fucking choice.
Fucking hot Sandra Bullock. Amazing. And then
such a good movie.
And then Wesley Snipes just chucked in for good measure, and he is rad. And such a nice mash of... And Dennis Leary out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, I love a bit of Dennis Leary
in that. So many people are in that. Even Rob Schneider's in that.
Schneider, fucking get out of that movie. I'm taking you to Taco Bell.
Oh, I love it. President Schwarzenegger. I love that. But yeah, Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. Movie.
I love it. It's a good mash of modern, futuristic mixed in with old school.
Yeah, it's such a bonkers concept. It shouldn't work at all, but it really does.
It totally does.
And it's in the same vein as I think it's obviously it's not as astute as satire as something like RoboCop is, but, but it's treading similar ground though.
Nice.
It's kind of doing a similar thing, and it's doing it in a way that is arguably more fun. I think.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
But still manages to have kind of a say about some consumerism culture and stuff that. And I think it does it pretty effectively.
It does a little bit of it. What's the movie that it references? The Time Machine. So you have the lower people working for the upper people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
all that stuff.
Exactly. Bit of class warfare stuff.
Yeah, man. Demolition Man.
Well, my favourite. Be well.
1993.
My favourite Stallone. And it was always going to be one of the Rockies.
Oh, okay.
And I went back and forth. I didn't know which one to choose.
This is a hard one.
And I ultimately chose...
Well, ladies, are you listening? Go.
Rocky 3.
Ooh.
Rocky 3 as my favourite.
Okay.
Because I think as far as iconic moments, you don't care at all.
I have no point of reference whatsoever. No. Is this the one where Creed... Is this with Creed?
So this is... Spoilers for Rocky 3. Yeah. This is...
If you haven't watched it,
It's the one with Mr. T.
Oh, right? Mr. T!
So Mr. T comes in and kicks the shit out of him. Right. It's also the one that features the exhibition fight with him and Hulk Hogan.
Right.
At the start.
Okay.
We have the death of Mickey, his trainer.
Oh, his trainer.
Which is an absolutely heartbreaking... Devastating moment. It is the return of Apollo Creed as his trainer.
Right. Ooh.
It is the first appearance of Eye of the Tiger.
What the... Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought Eye of the Tiger was in the first one. No, I'm thinking of...
That's been around the whole time. Yeah. Gotta Fly Now.
Yeah.
It just, on iconic levels, like Rocky imagery, it has it all in spades. It has the amazingly homoerotic slow-mo run down the beach where they hug at the end, and it's just so sexual. It's fantastic.
Is he punching meat in this one? Is there punching any meat?
Well, because the whole point of this movie is that he needs to learn how to be a different kind of boxer,
a different kind of fighter.
Yeah. So the whole thing of him punching the meat, that's the early stuff. That's him building just the muscle. Right. This is all about him building the grace and the style.
I want to watch Rocky.
You gotta I think you say that where it's, and I can understand.
I do.
The thing about it is, I understand that it's without knowing and without having watched it, they do seem kind of ridiculous, like these boxing movies.
Especially because
I'll use my partner Emma as an example, and she felt a very similar way.
Yeah.
By the end of that last movie,
she was crying.
She's sobbing as much as I am. It just happens. You are so swept up in the story of Rocky.
Yeah, man.
And going to see Creed was and this is, I think we've talked about this. This is probably why you didn't have as much of an appreciation for Creed.
Yeah.
Is because you can't help but go into those movies with so much baggage, personal baggage for it. And I think it's just a beautiful. It's going to be one of those series of films that I'm just going to carry with me my whole life and always go back to and revisit.
I'm pretty sure Rob Milady of the friend of the podcast, these are him and his wife's hangover movies.
Oh, these are great choices for hangovers
they
as well.
watch, I'm pretty sure that I could be wrong there.
Because they're generally, like, especially for... Number 4 is the perfect hangover movie.
Oh, really?
Because it's an 88-minute movie.
Oh, right.
That 78 minutes are montages. So... It's so incredibly easily watchable with a hangover. Yeah, there's only. I don't think there's even Eye of the Tiger in the 4th one, but there's definitely. Oh God. Number 4 has a song that they almost completely was the inspiration for that rip-off song in
Rising Up.
In fucking no. Sorry. Oh, don't worry.
Sorry. Keep going.
No, the song that in Basketball where he turns on the radio and it's the singing and the song is singing exactly what's happening in his life. Anyway.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I remember that. All right. Well,
there it is. I was like, where's that fucking melody? I've got it. Your favourite Stallone?
My favourite Stallone. This was. I was looking today. I was doing my notes, going over my notes, and I was like, "Fuck, have I missed something?" And then it came out of nowhere, and I was like, "Dude, how have I missed this?" Assassins.
Oh,
dude,
no shit!
I fucking love this movie.
What a choice!
Yeah, man.
Bold choice.
Absolutely,
Assassins.
I love Assassins.
Richard Donner.
Yeah, and that's fucking why.
Richard Donner, man.
Antonio Banderas giving a rad fucking performance.
He's pretty wild in that
I love
movie.
the start of this thing. The fact that it starts in like the swamp marshes, and he's an assassin that's over. He's been at the top for so long that this is just second nature to him, and he's done. This is also where my love-hate relationship came out of Julianne Moore. I feel this is one performance of hers that I fucking hate.
Sure.
I feel it.
I think
I'm
she's
like,
miscast in this. Yeah.
I'm like, what are you? Why are you in this?
Yeah.
And towards the end, I'm just going with the ride. That said, I fucking love Julianne
I put
Moore.
this in the same category as The Specialist.
Oh, what? No way. They're totally different movies. How dare you?
These are there's like two kind of late-ish
covers.
90s Stallone movies where I could watch a scene from it and not be able to tell which one it is.
Yeah, I totally understand. But yeah, there are so many moments, so many good moments.
The final
in
sequence
this movie.
of that with the church is like nail-biting stuff. It's really great.
Just across, and all of the chess stuff, and it's obvious who they're calling and all that stuff. But just it's such a good movie. I love it.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching that movie. I think there's
rad
some
action
great
sequences.
stuff. Yeah, there are some really great sequences.
All the stuff in Mexico that they do, and yeah, it's Antonio Banderas for me in that film.
It's a really good. A good calling card for him. I think it was one of his earliest performances.
The shootout in a graveyard, and how, because the graveyard is massive, the shots are echoed, and it's all the little details that I love.
Was this pre-Desperado?
Yes. I don't know. So 95. When was Desperado?
I want to say 96. When was Interview with the Vampire? 94?
That was early. I remember that.
So I'm trying to think of what
they were the same year.
Oh, there you
95.
go. Big year for Antonio.
Yeah. And the, what was I? Oh, he has one of the all-time greatest names as well.
Oh, he's
Robert Rath. I was like, dude,
Jesus.
That is intense.
He picks some great names. Doesn't he? Action movie names are some of the funniest things ever.
What's
I love action movie names.
His name's John Spartan in
Spartan
in Demolition.
In Demolition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How rad is that?
It's a good name.
Robert Rath.
All right. Well. The big gun himself.
The big guns.
The big man who's in town at the moment, Arnie, if you're listening.
No, we're not doing that. We're doing JC
Oh, we haven't.
Come on, what are you doing?
God, we've been on this forever. We've got to keep moving.
Yeah, sorry.
We're going to be here all fucking night. We've got more questions. All right, so Van Damme, you don't care much for Van Damme.
I have my I'll just do it quick. So my runner-up, because Van Damme is way too big for me to say. The one that I go to is, without a doubt, runner-up is... Well, this was hard. Runner-up for me is Time Cop, because I have a special play like that. I knew where I was when I watched it. It was rad. I thought it was badass. Van Damme was at his peak. Like, even though I kind of still love the memory of Double Team.
Double Team.
Double Team.
Jesus,
even though I know that I couldn't watch that today. I leave it.
Movie.
I leave it in the memory banks and go, yeah, it was. I'm
sure.
I'm sure it was
I need
good.
to rewatch Double Team.
I'm sure it was good. But
Dennis Rodman.
But no, at the top for me, because I'm going to do mine both.
Right,
so
sure.
because everyone knows, like, Time Cop was a cool. I love the anything with time travel in it.
Yeah, there's some great time travel stuff in that film. Yeah,
it was really cool.
I think it's also the first movie that I think. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be the first movie to invent this concept, but it's my earliest memory of the concept of
matter cannot occupy the same space.
Matter cannot occupy the same space.
Yeah. That was me as well.
Yeah.
And just how they went back in time, it was the ripple. I love that.
Yeah.
But
and he managed to get a split jump in as well. So
totally. But no, my top, which I literally thought that this was the comeback. I thought, oh my god, Van Damme is back. Was JCVD.
Yeah,
like that movie.
He was for a bit.
Like that movie was the biggest thing I feel that he's ever done. That was just such a different feel of a movie for him, and it showed that he had something to say, and he had some mad chops in him as well. Yeah. Like, yes, he was playing himself, but this was something else. And then reading about
sometimes that's a lot harder because he's playing himself in a very unglamorous way, and so that takes a lot of kind of a lot of willingness to allow that image of yourself to become to
open up and show the world what that was.
Yeah.
And so going back and reading, because there was a scene in it where he gets pulled out of the movie and does I think it's a 2-minute monologue. And I was reading about that, and he wanted that in there, and he wanted, that was all true what he said, and he wanted to see his piece, and there were drugs and there were women, and it was very hard, and all of this stuff, and it was just a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I think it's a really great film. I've only seen it the one time, because it's not an easy movie to watch.
No, it's not. Well, it wouldn't be for you, Tice. Jesus,
and not so much, not because it's like it's heartbreaking or anything. It's more, it's like, it feels like work, that movie. Yeah. Like, you come away from it and you're like, okay, look, it was, I was really, like, it's a great performance and it's really interesting to see something like this, but that's not what I go to Van Damme for.
No, absolutely.
If anything, it should have opened the doors to more kind of weightier performances for him.
Which is what I wanted.
It's disappointing that it didn't.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of it's a mild renaissance, either.
Pick one.
At the moment for him.
Yeah.
He is still doing those straight to DVD things, but I think we're at least out of the real doldrums where he was churning out some real garbage.
Did you say
doldrums?
Oh, doldrums.
I don't know.
I thought you mentioned Dolph Lundgren. Sorry.
Oh, Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Well, and we also, he got to do those really great sequels to the Universal Soldier, Regeneration and Day of Reckoning, which are just fucking great action movies.
Yeah.
So he's had a bit of a resurgence, and at least he's not doing like, what was one of the ones I can't,
Alien Uprising?
Wake of Death.
Six
Let's
Bullets?
say that one.
Dragon Eyes.
Dragon Eyes is apparently not bad.
Oh, really?
It's got Kung Chung Lee or something in it. Is that his name?
All right. How about The Shepherd?
Yeah, so stuff like that. Like, there's not a lot to find enjoyable in those ones. So at least he's kind of back out of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my top.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
watch JCVD if you haven't seen it, people. It's I can't recommend
watch.
it enough.
It's a really good watch. Well, my runner-up was tough. There were a few runner-ups.
Yeah, this would be
and
hard
with my
for you.
favourite, I ended up going for kind of an underrated one in the hope that it might expose more people to
nice.
it.
Yeah.
But so my runner-up, I'm going to have a tie from my runner-up.
Oh, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's tough. So one of my runner-ups is Hard Target, which is really great, and it's one of the very first, perhaps the first John Woo Hollywood film.
Yeah.
So it brought a voice to American cinema that was only up until then known really in small circles and Asian cinema. Who obviously John Woo has a legacy now in Hollywood, even if it's kind of diminished now by the fact that his last few Hollywood movies were garbage.
Great. Yep.
But that movie is bonkers, and it's so worth seeing. Lance Henriksen putting in a really incredible villain performance as well.
Yeah,
the other runner-up was Bloodsport, because it was the first might have been the first movie I saw with him in it.
Yeah,
and it was
my first movie.
The movie like that I've got a love for the like martial arts competition films.
Yeah, man, Karate Kid.
Yeah,
that's what we grew
even
up
ones
with.
that are based on that are like almost the entire movie are based on the
competition.
On competition.
Yeah.
And this is the best of those.
Yeah,
by far and away. There's so much great stuff in Bloodsport. But the one I'm going to say is my favorite is actually Cyborg.
Oh, wow,
Cyborg.
Yeah,
because I think it's really underrated. I think
89.
It's got a really cool, fucking messed up post-apocalyptic world landscape.
Yeah,
it's really, really interesting.
I have always wanted to see this thing.
Yeah, visually it's really great and kind of got this real nightmare logic to it.
Yeah.
Van Damme is, the silent hero with the tortured past, so he doesn't have to be too I think I find him very charismatic in silence. Van Damme, I think he does that really well. But the villain performance by Vincent Klin as this guy called they've all got guitar names.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
his name
Gibson?
is
His name is Gibson.
Van Damme's name is Gibson Rickenbacker.
Yep. Are you being serious?
Yeah,
Rickenbacker.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
And Vincent Klin plays
Vincent Klin. Fender Tremolo. Yeah, that is hilarious.
So,
oh my God, Michelle Stratt, Marshall Stratt. You're serious? They're all guitar names.
Yeah. So, his performance is ludicrous and so terrifying. As a kid, I was terrified of him.
Really?
Like, just because he's got these fucked up eyes. He's in Point Break. Do you know the guy, the big dreadlocked surfer guy with the fucked up eyes? He's got like that weird thing where the color of your eyes is really pale.
Yeah. So he looks it's almost like an albino eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of the goons in Point Break.
I know the one.
Yeah.
Where the house
hanging out with Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah. That would be a waste of time. That was Anthony Kiedis' line.
So Cyborg is really, really great and well worth seeing. It's got some fucked up backstory as well, and it's well worth researching a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Some really interesting stuff. Well, there was like an original director's cut that never really saw the light of day.
Yeah.
This movie started out because Canon Pictures had... this is based on their pre-production of their Spider-Man movie that never got made.
Right.
And so... when they had the rights to Spider-Man and Masters of the Universe at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And their whole thing was they were doing pre-production for both, and then they were getting funding cuts. So they said, well, we can't make both of these movies, so we're going to cut one. So they decided we wouldn't do Spider-Man. Then the Masters of the Universe thing didn't happen either. And so they had all these costumes and these props and stuff from that.
Yep.
And so they used them all for Cyborg.
That's rad.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was those two movies.
Fuck.
But yeah, so there's all kind of this pre-production history stuff that's really
these
interesting.
Stories. I love these stories.
Yeah, and so it was kind of a movie that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's well worth watching.
So what was your runner-up? Hard Target.
Hard Target,
which I've always wanted to see.
Hard Target.
It's the one where he's got that. It's actually. It makes a mullet look really rad.
Oh, he's got the dirtiest wet mullet.
Like it's a wet
It's
mullet.
always wet.
Of course it's wet.
I don't understand.
A mullet dry is disgusting.
No one wants to see that shit.
No, it's like chucking a dry wheat bick in your mouth.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, and that's fair. That's a fair comparison. Lastly, we've got to do our big man. We've got to do the man himself, Arnie. We've got to try and smash through this because I wanted to do one more letter, but I think we might be out of time.
Oh, damn it. All right. Well, we can do that letter next week. We should be able to.
Yes.
All right. Well, this one is really fucking hard for me. This is. I'm going to let you go first because Arnie is my man. That's terrible.
I have. Do you know what?
I got two runners up and two. Like I've had a tie. I can't. My top. I can't pick.
I was able to pick only because I think one stands head above and shoulders above everything else so much.
So much so
that I was like that. Then I can definitely pick that one. All right. It's funny about Arnie because I was looking through the list and there is legitimately I think maybe 2 movies that I have not seen.
Oh really?
And
one is Around the World in 80 Days, Tyson. You haven't seen that, have you?
No, I'm not going to watch that.
Okay, good.
I don't count that.
Okay,
like,
you don't count anything.
Arnold Schwarzenegger starring vehicles.
Good, I'm glad you don't count that. Yeah, I've seen. I was trying to think.
I haven't seen Raw Deal. I've never seen Raw Deal.
Raw? Are you serious? With John Belushi?
No, that's Red Heat. I've seen Red Heat.
Oh.
Yeah,
Raw Deal. Yeah, when he's the Russian. Yeah, I've seen that.
So I haven't seen Raw Deal.
Yeah.
And there was one other when I was checking through the list. I was like, wow, I've just never gotten around to seeing that. I really should watch that.
Oh, really? I've watched Stay Hungry. Hilariously enough,
right?
78. Stay Hungry.
Jesus.
Yeah. I've even seen Hercules in New York, where he's billed as Arnold Strongman, Mr. Universe. No, Arnold Strong, because they didn't want to put Schwarzenegger.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I'll be honest, but
yeah,
I don't count that. Don't count that as like the Arnie movies. Like,
yeah, it starts 1982. Conan the Barbarian.
It does.
That's where it starts. Yeah.
What's the other one?
What's the other one?
I can't remember.
So you've seen Red Heat. You've seen.
There's no point listening to all of it, but I think I've seen more of Arnie than I have of Van Damme because I've skipped so many of those Van Damme straight to DVD ones.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Like Arnie's always kind of been
The Rock. Like you've got a good watch.
and he gets like his movies have much higher profile too.
Yeah.
So I can't. Yeah, I've seen every one of his new this new era to mixed results.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
all right.
What's your runner-up? It's so hard.
It's hard.
My runner-up.
Go on, give us a runner-up.
My runner-up
do you have? Go on.
I'll have one. I could have about 17. I'll have one, and the runner-up. That one runner-up is Predator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hard.
Predator any day of the week. I could.
You could just chuck
potentially
that
say
on
would be my number one too. It was interchangeable. Depending how I felt yesterday when I was preparing this, I could have gone either way.
So you have 2 runners up and then 2 thingos. Okay, so
is one of them Predator of those 4?
Yes.
Yeah, fucking it better be.
Dude.
John McTiernan.
Tiernan at his best, man.
At his absolute best.
Oh my god, and that cast and the messed up shit that went on. Jesus.
It's something else.
Yeah.
It's something.
All right.
else.
Well, let me say my runner up is oh god, this is too hard.
Commit.
Fuck. Okay. My runner up is it's Last Action Hero.
All right. Nice.
It's Last Action Hero.
Yeah, cool.
For some reason, I fucking love this movie.
That's fine.
And there's so many things that went wrong with this script, and so many things that went wrong on this set. I still love it. I still love what came out.
Another John McTiernan.
Yeah. I love it. It's awesome.
I think we might have talked about that. I saw it for the first time not that long ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we did talk about that off the air, but yeah.
And I really dug it. I had a really good time with it. And I always heard that it was a little bit kind of...
it doesn't know where it's going.
Yeah, lost. Yeah. It wasn't particularly focused.
Lost. Yeah.
But I found it. I think it was really ahead of its time, and I think if it had come out in the mid 2000s, I think we'd be still talking about it as like a classic of meta action.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that was my first almost meta experience.
Yeah, but I think it would be for a lot of people. Like, and I don't think the world was ready for that kind of like.
No.
We're almost at a point like
thing,
we're so much more willing to let art be kind of self-reflective now that you can get away with that kind of stuff, whereas back then I think it was seen as kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, exactly. And didn't Shane Black wrote the original screenplay, and
there's so much Shane Black in that movie.
Exactly.
Like
so awesome, man.
It's a great choice.
And there's an action kid who adds to the
he's alright. That
his
kid,
own,
I like
he?
that kid. He's in some other things
What
as
else
well.
is he
I
in?
liked him.
He was in My Girl 2.
That's right.
That's all I remember.
So what's your other runner-up then? So you can do two.
Oh,
your
really?
two runner-ups.
I'm allowed 2. Am I really?
Yeah, you can have 2. I had 2.
I've got
Van Damme ones.
but I've got. No, but I've got 2.
You can only have 2. You can only have 1.
2 choices
For the favourite. You can
I've
only
got
have one favourite. One favourite, but you can have 2 runner-ups.
All right.
Bump down one of your favourites to the other runner-ups.
My other runner-up then is Predator.
All right, nice. Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
There's no way that movie. Like me and my brother watched that back like on a loop. That was on a loop in our house. It was amazing.
Very cool.
I fucking love that movie. The end, the fact that it almost changed gears and turns into a completely different film when it's just him and the Predator. The fact that movie is quite scary.
It is. It sets up. Its atmosphere is incredibly effective
and so full on and
really full on,
and testosterone just
so much testosterone,
just jetting jets of man foam out of its testosterone. That's how rad it is. If you don't, if
it's foamy, go see a doctor. Is all I'm saying.
If it's jets of man foam coming out at you, it's fucking hot. I love it.
Jesus. Yeah. No, you're right though, because it is like, but it's so unapologetically so. Like that first interaction where they handshake, which is which is like who's got the bigger pecs, and then they try to outman each other by backing away from the handshake first.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's immediately set up to be a movie about masculinity.
Exactly.
But the thing about it is because it turns on it and it brings a villain into the piece that doesn't give a fuck about your masculinity.
Exactly.
It's going to tear your spine out.
It doesn't matter how strong you are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To them, to the Predator, you are just...
You are
fair game.
Yeah, you are a small
You're kind of like,
deer.
oh, okay, I'm not going to chase that person because you're more muscular and more trained. You're more worth it.
I'm going to save you for last.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I love that whole thing of the Predator doesn't kill the woman because she wasn't holding a gun.
Yeah,
and
she
stuff
wasn't.
like
she
that.
wasn't armed.
She wasn't a threat.
Exactly. She wasn't a threat. Exactly.
So there's no sport for him in it because she wasn't holding a gun,
man.
And stuff like that. And it actually is really deconstructive of that 80s testosterone action film,
which
Arnie actually made a bunch of, and probably didn't even realize that the levels that were going on in Predator.
Yeah.
That there are a lot more intellectual levels than something like Commando, for instance, which is almost, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love it.
I love
but
that.
Predator is kind of taking the piss out of Commando.
It is.
To a degree.
It's a smarter film.
Yeah.
You know, it does have those levels, like you said.
Yeah.
Predator's my runner-up.
Yeah, nice one.
All right.
Number one.
Your turn first.
My number one is T2. Terminator 2.
Fuck, my number one is T2.
Yeah.
There's no way that it isn't, you know, because on a whole, this movie is amazing. Like this, there's no...
Yeah.
There's no... Yes, this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, but that it kind of surpasses, yes, this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
It totally
Do you
does.
know what I mean?
It totally does. And as much as, like... I think the first Terminator is more streamlined and focused and like just a really sharp kind of sci-fi horror thriller thing.
Yeah.
The expansiveness of this second one and the building of this sci-fi universe is so good, is so ridiculously good. And it's because of T2 that we have all these shitty sequels. Yeah. Like... Do you know what I mean?
Because this movie made so much money.
Because this movie,
like,
but it was so good. And it
popular.
opened up so many possibilities, but logical possibilities. It never felt like it was one of those movies where it's like, and then this could happen, and this could happen, and we're going to chuck all this shit in. Yeah. It felt really, really like it had such a clear idea of the world that it was building.
Yeah.
It just so happens that, no one else has been as smart
could do...
when it comes to the creation of that and how to use what
that
got set up so well.
Exactly.
From then on, unfortunately.
Fuck.
It's fucking great. Fucking great
It's
movie.
really good. Robert Patrick, fucking scary.
Terrifying.
Absolutely
when
terrifying.
I was a kid, absolutely terrified
the
of
man
him.
can run and knife you so
He runs
fast.
like nobody else I've ever seen run.
I love that elevator scene. Coming down in the elevator and he comes out of it and he...
There are so many iconic images in it. Terminator 2 is one of those movies that from start to finish, when I'm watching it, I go, oh, it's this part.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this bit.
But you have so many of those sections.
Well, that's what I mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Every section is a,
there's
it's this bit moment.
There's no dull part of this. Yeah.
Not at all. It's probably like, and I've talked about this before, I think it's in the argument for the most perfect film. I actually feel like from, pound for pound,
yeah, okay.
it can be argued that is a perfect film. A perfect film.
Yeah, I'd rate that. I'd stick by that.
Because it does what it does.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's
from beginning to end. No, it has a middle. It has a perfect beginning, middle, and an end.
It doesn't waste anything. It's perfect. It's got a perfect narrative structure. All the characters have a really great, well-rounded arc.
Yeah.
We get really big stakes. We get huge action sequences.
Get mad action
we get
sequences.
Emotional connections with our characters. And do
you know how much I was reading this the other day? Do you know how much trouble James Cameron got into for flying a helicopter under an overpass?
Oh, right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's a good job.
Fuck, he got in a lot of trouble for that. Good on him. Fuck, I love that movie.
Yeah, we say that, but we could be
Jesus.
talking about now about that how terrible it was. Hey, did you hear about that guy that died trying to do that stunt for James Cameron? So I get it. Yeah. He's a ballsy motherfucker, and he got away with it.
And he got away with it.
But for every one of them, there's the guy from the Twilight Zone movie that had his head chopped off by a helicopter blade.
Is, yeah. Or the Spider-Man musical.
Yeah,
Fuck.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, we answered that question, Michael. That was a very long question.
It was. Jesus. Jesus.
Oh, my God.
Thanks, Mikey.
Thanks, Mikey.
Well, I think we're going to have to call it.
We're going to have to call it. That was too long.
Because we've talked too long and we've still got a couple of secret categories left.
To do, yeah.
But that was fun.
That was
Mailbag.
good. Mailbag.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sending in what you did send in. I hope we got some fun answers.
Yeah.
And this is kind of why we wanted to do it this way, because we knew
we
see
like
these
this.
emails and we go, well, we're not going to be able to talk about this in 5 minutes, so let's give a full episode to it.
Exactly.
And we've just given you an hour and we only got through 3 questions.
Jesus
so
Christ,
as you can see, we like to fucking waffle on. I think that is clear. That is very clear. And do you know what? Having said that, I think we're also going to skip what did we watch this week.
Really?
And we're going to go straight to... Crossing the Streams! Yeah, because I didn't watch much this week. I've got something I can talk about, and we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, fair deal. I watched stuff, but it wasn't anything new. I was rewatching.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, Crossing the Streams.
Yeah, my Crossing the Streams this week.
I haven't. Yeah. Oh, you've already got yours. Jesus.
No, I don't have it. I'm filling time, man. That's how I do it. That's how I do it. Come on, you got to learn. I'm vamping while I'm searching
That's
through.
very good. You're very good.
All right, here we go.
Go on. Oh, wow,
I've got
that was quick.
Yeah, I've got an odd recommendation.
All right, an odd recommendation.
It is a bit odd.
I'm just going to repeat
I'm going to
everything.
recommend a movie from 2014. This has just popped up on Netflix, and it's called Stretch.
The fuck is that?
It is a movie about a limousine driver.
Okay. Who is in this movie? Have you seen
Patrick
this movie?
Wilson? Yeah, I've seen this movie.
Patrick Wilson.
So Patrick Wilson, Ed Helms, James Badgedale. I like James Badgedale. He's
Who
fun.
the fuck is James Badgedale?
He's the guy in Iron Man 3 who is the soldier that has the extremists in him. That
is he Chase from 24? Is that who you're talking about? Is he the guy who...
I don't know 24 really well.
24
He's the one that ends up on the plane and gets his stomach punched out of him on the plane.
Chase from 24.
Yeah, and this is actually a Joe Carnahan movie. Do you know Joe Carnahan?
I know who that is, yeah.
So it's actually a really bizarre film.
Yeah.
There's a performance from Chris Pine in this film, which is like bonkers, next level bonkers.
Yeah.
The movie itself is just one of those kind of all-in-one night adventures, and a limo driver just has these really bizarre occurrences happen to him.
Wow.
And it turns into a really kind of pretty off-the-rails action comedy. With some ridiculous things happening.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson is good in this role. Like, I like Patrick Wilson a lot, and I think he pulls it off here. It's hard to describe without kind of ruining it, because I think some of the enjoyment of this film comes from just sitting down, chucking it on, and seeing just how far off the rails it goes.
Oh, okay.
It never lost me though. That's one of the things. I watched this a few years ago, so
yeah.
It never lost me, but it got dangerously close to losing me.
Okay.
And I actually kind of like a movie that does that more, because it's kind of like, hey, you went so far that I almost went, nah, this is fucked. But I never did.
Came back.
I never did.
Really?
I was always just on the right side of it.
Wow.
And it makes for a lot of fun.
What was it called again?
Stretch. And I recommend it almost for the Chris Pine performance alone, because if you think he's just Captain Kirk, you are missing a very, very, very interesting character actor inside a leading man's body, I think.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, Stretch on Netflix. Check it out.
Stretch on Netflix.
What do you got?
All right. Well, mine is you could roll your eyes, and to be honest,
I may.
If you are rolling your eyes, you don't understand the impact of this film.
Oh.
Dropped on Netflix today.
Oh.
Is Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, yes. You can watch Wonder Woman on Netflix. I did see that.
And the impact of this movie, and I was talking about it with my wife 2 days ago, I think it was. Watching this movie from the things that we just talked about just then. So going through our 80s action movies, there is no point in our lives, Tice, that we have watched an action movie and gone, yeah, I want to watch that movie because that's a guy doing stuff and kicking ass. You know, we take this for granted. We absolutely take this for granted. And me watching the way that I watch movies, no matter what the movie is, I will put myself into the character that I most respond to, that I see myself in. Yeah, you know, so I'll be in that movie and go through that way. This movie. This is the start. This is the first step of taking that. Yes, we've had other ones, Catwoman, Elektra, you know, Supergirl, all of these ones that we roll our eyes and laugh at because they weren't that good.
Yeah,
but this is the one I feel that's going to start us off on a track where we can finally get those movies where that little girl, or even that 20, 30 year or no matter what age, a woman watches this they're going to go, fuck yeah, look at me, I can fucking do that. They're watching that, putting themselves in the role of Wonder Woman and kicking ass.
Yeah, 100%. It's a mentality that I'll never fully understand because we're not going to understand it. I've taken it for granted for so long.
Exactly.
If I think about it and think, if I'd only ever seen in my lifetime 3 or 4 action movies with men as the hero, how would I feel about that?
Yeah,
and I can't ever imagine it. It would be a really weird experience.
Exactly.
And so even for people like very good friend of the podcast, Nicole Kiley, who's a huge action movie fan, and she said it herself. She's like, you got to understand, I've been watching these action movies all my life.
Exactly.
And I got to see one with a girl kicking ass.
Yeah.
And it was it changes, it changes the way you feel about it. And so, we need more of it.
We absolutely do. Like, I still want to watch fucking Atomic Blonde.
Yeah,
all of these movies that this is just going to piggyback on, which fantastic that it is.
That's it. Opens the doors for all kinds of things. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing really, really great movies come from this.
Like, I want to see a Black Widow movie.
Yeah, I want to see a Black Widow movie. Absolutely.
Absolutely do that.
Okay, I'm so looking forward to Captain Marvel because of the bizarre choice of directors, but because the movie that that they directed that I'm in love with, which is Mississippi Grind. I was like, it's one of those movies you watch and you're just like, wow, that is a fucking great movie. Never in a million years did I think
that director would
get to direct a fucking Marvel film.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm so excited for Captain Marvel. I think that's going to be ace.
I Brie Larson. I love Brie Larson.
Brie Larson's great.
Fucking bring that on.
Like, we just need to keep churning this over now. It needs to be a common
thing.
It
needs to not be a thing, and I don't like.
Exactly. Yeah. It needs to not be. The reason why the movie's successful needs to not be because it's a female lead. It needs to be because it's an amazing movie, regardless of the lead. Yeah. So let's just let's get as many out as we can so that we can get to that level.
Yeah. We want the action movies with females that are straight to video. We want to get to that point.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Do we want to get to that point?
Do you know there's a movie? This is a sidetrack. I might have already talked about this. Yeah. There's a Walter Hill movie called Reassignment, which is about a guy who
Walter Hill, as in
Walter Hill.
Yeah.
Who as a guy who's like a hitman or a thug for hire, and he screws over Sigourney Weaver, who happens to be a plastic surgeon, and so
what the fuck?
Hang on, you think that's the fucked up bit? So, in order to get this hitman or thug get revenge, Sigourney Weaver kidnaps them, puts them under anesthesia, and turns them into a woman. And this woman is played by Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
is this a new film?
It came out last year, called Reassignment. Get it? Reassignment.
Oh my god! The Assignment.
Oh, have they changed the name?
They've changed it. Or maybe it's Reassignment in Australia.
Reassignment was a better name.
It's called The Assignment. Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a sidetrack because what a bonkers concept for a movie.
Wow, that's insane.
So even when we get a female-led action film, she's actually playing a man. Anyway,
yeah, that hurts me.
Yeah, well, let's just keep churning them out. Let's get more happening.
Let's get onto it.
Let's get them happening because I do want to watch Wonder Woman again as well because I feel like I may have been a little harsh on it. So
yeah.
I want to give it another
chance.
Definitely
want to watch it again. Definitely want to watch it again. One of my favorites. So where that conversation spawned into, because my wife listens to a lot of true crime podcasts.
Oh, sure.
This is where this came out of. There's a true crime podcast that she listens to that a female private detective listens to the podcast and said, "Oh, that was me. I think it was 10 or 15 years ago. That was me. I did that." It was an unsolved mystery.
Oh, right.
I couldn't solve it, and that was me. Went back, opened up the case, and then because of the podcast, found brand new evidence.
Wow,
that is a movie that I want to watch. I want to watch a hard-boiled detective that is female.
Yeah, you don't get many of them.
That would fucking kick ass. That would kick ass. I want to see that. I want to see Sigourney Weaver play a hard-boiled detective. Imagine that shit.
Also,
she would have a cat.
She would have a cat. I'd be down with that.
Exactly. Or just a massive fucking Rottweiler.
Tell you what, we're not solving any cold cases on this podcast, are we?
Hey, but we're getting people talking.
That's it. We're starting a conversation about which Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is the best.
Exactly.
But that's going to wrap us up.
So if you would like to join us, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Facebook, we are on the social, we are on the Insta.
All of those.
We're on the Twitters as well.
Yeah.
But if you would like to...
Lots of action on Twitter and Insta at the moment, which is great.
If you would like for us to do another mailbag, write us in. NickTysonVideotape@gmail.com.
Yes. Or tweet. We did get a tweet. We didn't get to do the tweet.
We didn't get to do the tweet.
From your lovely wife.
I know. My wife thought of one of the raddest questions.
So we might have to reintroduce the mailbag segment and get it happening again. So just means we've got to talk less shit about other stuff.
That's not going to happen.
No, that's really hard.
Yeah,
this has
really
turned
hard
out what I thought was going to be a short episode has now turned out to be as long as fuck. Next week. Let's not talk anything more about it and just say what it is, and because otherwise we won't. If we start, we won't stop.
Because of the bullshit that's coming out, we are watching Ridley Scott's Alien.
We are. We're going to do Alien. It's going to be fun. Going back to where it all began.
Bring on that shit.
Can't wait. But until then,
Nicholas. I've been Nicholas.
I've been Tyson. I'll remain to be Tyson.
Cheerio, peoples.
Bye.